And we're live. This is Monday night. Tales from Flipside. 262. We took a break last week. Impending snow dooms of the Great White North. It was brutal. We had no electricity, ice storms, and no power. But I picked up a collection. We're gonna talk some news, market report stuff, and we're gonna do it live. So let's do it. Here we go. I felt terrible because I was like, poor Z was fighting. He was fighting for us. He was gonna try to do it, but
Yeah. Well, so you instead of being Nico climbing into attics and basements for collections, you were climbing igloo to igloo to make a deal in the ice.
yeah, pretty much. It was funny. I did it the day of the ice storm too. I went down there at like noon before the ice storm really hit.
Dude, this is the last time I'm taking it and I'm not coming back.
You know what's funny? And I made cards. I showed you boys the cards. I don't know if I got them somewhere. Maybe they're upstairs. I don't know. They're around here somewhere. Maybe they're up there. I made cards. I didn't give the guy a card. I kind of felt bad because then he could look me up, and I didn't want to.
Yeah, wow.
That's okay. Little shots first. Late Night Comics. He's always around. GT Comics. We're just hanging out, Will. We're just what we're doing. I don't know what this is. Hank Orange Recovery. I don't know. Yeah, so let's go. Let's get this started. Bear with me on this new system. I don't even know. I was trying to snip things tonight for the stuff, and it wasn't working. I have no idea what's going on. So maybe this might be the right screen.
Get you fancy new tools and internet, and now we gotta.
Yeah, I gotta figure it out. Okay. So this hit Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and lets Deadpool actor Karan Sony for Spider-Man India. So everybody's list of Spider-Man India books. Interesting. I mean, I'm glad he's getting more roles. I guess that's always good. So
He's good.
No, I was gonna say, so that's why all those Spider-Man India books started selling.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I'm down with it.
Yeah,
I mean, he has good comedic timing voice-wise, so that's gonna work well.
Yeah. No, it's funny that I think back to, after the first Spider-Verse movie, and then they had that teaser, what was that, almost 2 years ago, that flashed all the different, ones, and people did the whole breakdown and shit. And people were like, oh, people are really buying up these dollar bin Spider-Man India books and buying up these, like, they're all making money now. Like, if you invested in any one of those, like, third tier, fourth tier Spider-Man characters, I mean, you can easily make you a quick $50 to maybe even $100 off of a book that was hanging out in the dollar bin for years. So.
Now, is this animated or is this a real live?
No, this is the Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
Well,
this is the sequel.
There are characters in Across the Spider-Verse that will be featured in their live action form. Like, that's one of the things that's happening in the movie. Like, there will be points apparently in the movie, according to the leaks, where you will get glimpses of the multiverse and you will see live action characters.
Well, that could be cool.
So, yeah, not a spoiler for anybody who doesn't know. So I'm not going to mention who's been like confirmed at this point. But yeah, like, at least one of the live action Spider-Man that we know will make an appearance.
Nice.
Cool.
We got this Deadpool star Jack Casey.
Deadpool guys are just killing it.
Killing it. Let's go. Cast as Hellboy and reboot of The Crooked Man.
Man, I don't know if it's good or bad. It's a tough fucking shoes to follow. We talked about it before, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle for Harbor to try and live up to what's his face had done.
Perlman.
Yeah. So
it's gonna be the one's gonna have to live or die on its kind of story.
Well, that's why I like Mike Mignola on the writing side of it. At least he's the guy, right? I mean, if it's Hellboy, he's the guy. So I mean,
what's funny though is that this guy in the face looks very much so like has one of those like Ron Perlman type of faces, where it's like you can see this guy really looking the part with.
He's got the big chin, the big, growly face.
I think it'll work. I mean, it's always a wrinkle, right? Like the Jokers, right? Everybody's got to bring their own kind of wrinkle to it to make it their own. So.
I mean, shit, dude looks like. I mean, here, throw up a picture side by side with him and David Harbour in the full makeup. I just put one in the chat. Like, he looks like David Harbour. Like, so it's one of those situations where it's like, oh, the new guy looks very much so like the last guy in the makeup, so we don't even need to explain that away.
If I did it right, hold on a second, I'm sorry.
It's better than a Terrence Howard Don Cheadle scenario.
I mean,
Yeah, it's got a little bit of the vibe.
Yes, I mean you throw some makeup on him, like people who weren't really paying attention, aren't as plugged in as us, will have no idea that that's a different actor.
Well, I hope it's got just a different kind of vibe, though. That movie, I don't know what I didn't enjoy. It was fine. It just wasn't.
I didn't even watch it. I don't think. Or it's been so long, I can't remember.
I mean, it was a more comic book accurate portrayal, wasn't it? But it had
fine.
that like we were filmed in Eastern Europe vibe to it. It was like
yes.
like we cheaped out. Like we didn't really trust this. We didn't put big money into it. You know.
Hey, it's a low budget Steven Seagal movie, man. I get it.
It also lost a little bit of like the camaraderie and the vibe. Some of it just wasn't there, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong; those first two were very different in the source material, but like at that time, Guillermo del Toro was on fire and could do no wrong, and him taking this obscure character in the form of Hellboy, pissed off all the fanboys who were like Hellboy purists. But for the ones of us who kind of casually read Hellboy, it was like it wasn't a bad portrayal, and it had cross market appeal to the normies. And that's really what you need to have a successful movie. Like we're going to see it regardless. You got to have people who, like my girlfriend who wouldn't have gone to see this movie show up and pay money for it.
And as much who was the father in the new one? As much as I love that guy, he didn't thrive like he does in many of his roles. The guy from from John Wick and Deadwood and all that. I can't think of his name. But
Shane McSwain.
Yeah, he just didn't. He didn't even hit his stride. You know, he was almost like he was toned down, which is a role he shouldn't be toned down in.
Yeah.
So
next on our list, Marvel launches 20th Century Studios imprint with Planet of the Apes comic. Exclusive.
I don't know how to feel about this. Like it's like, I mean, Marvel, you have enough. Like you already have the Marvel name and struggle to sell comics at times. Now you're starting a new imprint and going with slightly known properties. I mean, everybody knows who Planet of the Apes are, but nobody knows them in a comic book, like, context. This feels kind of epic-y. This feels like, the return of Epic in the early 2000s.
So
what is the point? Just to say it's out of the continuation?
I mean, to do something else with that 20th century moniker? Because otherwise, just release it under Marvel. Like, why would you?
The speculator in me thinks, do we start hunting the variants and the rare if one actually goes to a second print? Because how many people are going to buy this? Like,
I don't. This is not the book I'm buying. I don't know that there's any. There's no back appeal for it right now.
Yeah, but
also, isn't it talk of the? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, when you see 20th century, it already looks outdated.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, true.
I mean, sorry, I'm like sounding like I'm blipping, but so we got Predator and Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
One of them definitely ended up in the Marvel imprint, right?
Both of them did. Well, didn't Predator also or at least there was a couple covers that were anniversary edition to Predator covers that dropped.
If we were going to launch,
got to run.
If we were going to launch 20th Century, it feels like this would have been it. Those would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, is Marvel still having those moments of like, oh, well, we got to keep the Marvel brand / Disney brand kid friendly, and like we need to shove all the things that aren't that kid friendly over in the 20th century imprint? Is that what's happening again?
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean,
yeah, because at this point, I hate this as much as it pisses me off. Like Marvel has become synonymous with Disney, and parents are getting up in arms about shit being like, this is for kids. It's like, no, it's not. Like,
Does
because
Deadpool and Punisher and all this crap move over there? Then I don't Daredevil.
I don't know. They've already had Marvel Knights and Marvel Max and Marvel whatever.
Yeah, it's like every couple of years, like all the publishers get on this whole, with the exception of Image, because they're like, we don't make shit for kids, and we never did. But everybody else gets on these like, oh, well, we need to do a separate imprint to shove over the dark and broody stuff too, because we got to be kid friendly over here.
Yeah. See. This is an interesting thing. I don't know how facty it is, but they were saying Jeff Snyder, Marvel is reported looking for a Dakota Johnson type actress for Sue. It's supposed to be Sue Storm for Fantastic Four. I know they're talking about. I guess Kevin Feige's right now deeply going into Fantastic Four casting right now. So this is just a little leak. Or
So that means they want Dakota Johnson.
Probably. But either she turned it down, or they can afford her, but
A type. Love those.
What's that type?
Her.
Kind of waspy. I don't know. Like it's instantly when I think of her, I think of the 50 Shades of Grey movies. So somebody who's kind of reserved, kind of waspy.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't think she's Storm, but I mean,
no, but I mean, who knows what happens when you dye her hair? So
maybe
They haven't cast it right yet, guys.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, but who really makes sense as a suit other than at this moment in time? What's her face from John Krasinski's wife? Like, I can't think of anybody else that people were just like, man, no, that's our suit right there.
Oh, on The Office or just in real life?
No, he's talking
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, so Emily Blunt, like they did the fan casting was the two of them for the longest. I mean, for years it's been the two of them.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, but I think they're going to go a tad younger.
Well, yeah, because they want people who they can have around for at least until Secret Wars, when they potentially can wipe the slate clean again if they still choose to.
Hey, Michael, your punk ass bought a Baker Mayfield rookie card. Fuck out of here.
Got him. Oh, Jesus.
I just don't know of anybody else who's gotten the green light from like either studios or fans to be like, oh man, no, this person, as Sue Storm.
Let's see what she says. Let's see what's on. I don't even know half these people are. That's how old I am.
Well, here's the image in that second row to the left. It's got like three women beside her, being like, these people could be her.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
None of those.
Mila Kunis, like,
no, too
yeah,
old.
that's like too old. It's like, I don't know. I mean,
I don't see them growing for anybody who's north of 35, honestly.
I mean, this was the last one, right?
Yeah, and that was a clusterfuck. I mean, okay, I take it back. That one had potential, but
The story
that
was just a fucking mess.
Well, they gave it to the wrong guy from a director perspective. Like they gave it to the guy who did Chronicle, who was on his whole like body horror tip. What's that guy's name? Josh Trank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Trank was on his whole body horror kick thing, and that could potentially work, but he just executed horribly. He was too new of a director. I mean, he had only done Chronicle at that point, and screwing up this is what lost him Star Wars.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, a lot of people like fuck their way out of Star Wars, like by shitting the bed like on the 23rd hour. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got, John. I mean, I don't have too much for news. I think it's kind of been
a pretty lame night.
Yeah,
it's been quiet. I mean, we got WonderCon coming up in 2 weeks, so there'll probably be stuff coming in and around that time period as we creep back into con season again. Wait a minute. In this last week, there's been a lot of mention of what's his face from Walking Dead being potentially, or he's been cast as somebody in the Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah.
Stephen Yeun.
Oh yeah.
And then people were just like doing the usual Asian thing, being like, "Oh, Amadeus Cho."
They
And
were
then
saying Century. That's
No,
what-
Yeah,
they
a
were
lot of-
making fun of that. No way.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying Century. If nothing else, like, I mean, some of my pickups from like about a month ago were some Century #1s because I was like, I already had some, but I didn't have any 9.8, so I was like, oh, 9.8s are going for cheap. Let me just scoop these up if this does end up panning out that it is Century. Whether or not it's Stephen Yeun, I don't really care. But if we get to Century, I want to have books on deck ready to go.
We haven't. I am impressed with Carter's new beard. We'll save that for pickups.
Yeah, I mean,
I've had this for at
I shaved
least
mine. You pissed
9
me.
months.
So,
It looks better on camera. That's legitimately the reason why I grew this out. It just looks better on camera.
How long are we out for Thunderbolts? Is that 2 years or a year?
Let me look it up.
I feel like it's got to be like the first of 2024.
Yeah, July 26th.
So I mean, things got to start kind of falling into place soon.
Well, I mean, we got the Thunderbolt Ross announcement in the form of Harrison Ford. Everybody else is already an existing entity, so not a whole lot of casting necessary there. I mean,
It's just
like 4 slots.
Yeah. I tell you what, my watching that stupid Apple show, Shrinking, with Harrison, he's got a little more fight left in him a little more feist left in him than I thought.
Good, because my wife said Indiana Jones looks like shit. So
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
I mean, I got more hope than I did for Crystal Skull. So
yeah,
I mean, he has a little more in him than I thought he did. So we will see.
I mean, he ain't dead yet. So
Yeah.
cool. All right, Mr. Marker Report, man.
Is it on me?
Yeah. Now, for the record, I kind of couldn't fit the ones with 2 on the same screen, so I just put 1 and 2.
Oh, you suck.
I know. I'm sorry. It looked like shit. So
All right, that's fine. That's all right. So I don't always include outside eBay, but Comic Link had some big boy kind of top tier variants that went, and I figured we should at least touch base on them.
I should have bought trays back in the day, like an asshole, and I didn't.
So this one was not a great sale. I mean, things are down. There's only been one other sale in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was last June. And that was 43,000. Go back kind of about another year, and you're in the high 20s. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, are we?
June of last year feels kind of after a lot of the pump. It was at least slowing.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
for me, is it? I know it's rare. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say it's not rare.
There are
But
25 9.8s, FYI.
which is it's still rare. But I'm saying there's a lot more other like 9.0s, 9.2s. I mean, when people were just subbing them to sub them too. You know what I'm saying? So
No, it's rare. It's tough, but I feel more have crawled out of the woodwork than aren't. Now, I think they sat a long time because they were in collections and people didn't even know what the hell they had.
correct.
But I do think more have crawled to the market. It is still a grail. It's just, I don't know. I think there's probably other books I'd rather have for $30K, but if you're a diehard, you need it, right? At some point. You
absolutely.
bought everything else. I'm gonna jump around a bit. Go. Other one in there, the kind of random grails not involving per se the first appearances. The Hush, the high watermark for that one was just under 7K in June as well.
No, for me, wasn't this like $2,000 way back in our day? Like $2,000.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
It's slowly climbed. It's not moved to crazy money. It's also not like ungodly rare either, but it is, one of those books that if you're a variant collector, like this is in your top 10.
Yep.
It is on your, Saga RRP, this, a couple other handful of ones that these are the guys, these are the ones. And then you start going to some of the first appearances that kind of are that next year. But if you're just going for the variant cover, this is one of the big boys. It has trended up steadily. Honestly, for as little a drop from just under 7 to 61, that's not too bad for the market to kind of crumble a bit. It's only 10%, 12%, so it's not a bad trend for it. So at least it's holding. The Delato was a little bit more down, but again, that one's so sparsely sold. There's only a handful on GPA of the Delato, so tough to track. Where did it go? I'm gonna go back to this one. I had some of these are from last week because I had some good books and I didn't want to leave them. And Chris is here, so we can talk about it. So you got hammered on an Avenger sale. I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yep. Luckily, the person did not pay.
So sitting on the book. I was gonna say that you had a 9.2, went for what? It was right around 4.45?
Like right under 5.
Okay. And so the 9.4 went a little better a week later. And then I happened to see this on Comic Link. So I was like, all right. So this was a 9.2. White pages. Yours was off white, I recall.
Yeah.
So it got 64. So slightly better on Comic Link, not much. I don't know if... Truthfully, I don't know. Who freaking knows at this point? Because I was actually looking at other books on, well, where's it going better, eBay or Comic Link? What's I don't think I have both of them on here. So in the same time frame, I might not have sent you the other image. 9.8 of Legion of Monsters sold for 4,000 on eBay, and in the same week or 10 days. Sorry, I'm gonna have to pull up my phone because I didn't send Tino the image apparently. A 9.8 sold on Comic Link for only 3,500. So, I don't honestly know which way you're going to do better, worse on a straight up auction. I think it's just a gamble on the account. This is not a huge account, but he did better than Comic Link did. But Legion of Monsters in a primo auction is not as cool a book as some other ones. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the competition, the night, the day.
Yeah, I will say that like partly what hurt mine is the fact that like me and that 9.4 started on the exact same day with his ending 3 days after mine. So
we're kind of keeping an eye on that one.
Exactly. Like, if it had just been me by myself, I probably would have done a lot better.
Truth. One more kind of bigger book. There was a bunch of cool shit on there. I didn't want to hit them all, but I could have picked a couple cool ones. Haven't seen a ton of sales. Haven't seen a lot of TMT ones hit, so 16K was a pretty solid sale for an 8.5.
Okay, so does anybody remember what that 5.5 went for a few months ago?
Oh, you're asking a lot. Do you know? You own that?
I'm sorry.
I got you.
Because I don't know why that seems low compared to what I thought that the 5.5 might have gone for.
I mean, I know that we're getting a rare air when we start talking about a 9.4, but the 9.4 is over 40K, like early this year, or whenever NYCC was.
I don't think you jump until the 9s, if I'm mistaken. But
when did it sell? I'm sorry, guys.
I don't know what's some comps in the mid grades that recent.
It's not. There's no first prints that sold. It was all second and thirds. Hold on, I'm looking.
Or maybe like
there was a high sale, but I don't know, man.
It's so hard.
I think it's one of those books though, like the mid to low grades. It doesn't drop as much because everybody wants one, so they're paying a real premium for those low grades to the mid grades. And until you get to the rare air, I don't think that there's a. Yeah, Havens, I'm sweating for you. I don't. That's Hakes is I wanted to pick your brain why you chose Hakes. I do see you got reserve prices, so that's nice. But man, I don't know.
Hakes, I'm like, oof, what's going on? That's like
I did pick your brain to figure out why you chose them later. I don't know. TMT one, I just think there's so many people that want one that you're moving very small bands of the prices until you get to the rare air.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think TJ probably owes me a kick in the nuts for telling me not to buy a 198 for $25K.
Me too. I'm in the same boat, so don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, back in so
that seemed like a crazy price at the time.
Yeah, to us, we're like, man, 20. I mean, it's not like he didn't have it, but I'm just saying, like, man, that's a lot to throw.
It wasn't just throwing around cash though.
Yeah, and that was like the high of highs back then. You're like, man, can he even go any higher? Like,
yeah, silly us, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Chamber of Chills beat one. 3K does have a cover. They included the CGC label that they pulled it out of. It was a 0.5 with 3/4 of a page in the story missing. I mean, I think at this point, the person probably doesn't care whether it's complete or not complete. They just wanted a nice-ish version of the cover. All things told, most of it's there. So, but I think that's probably your bottom buy-in price at the moment for this book.
Wow, that's discouraging.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to pick them up for $300-400. So yeah, I don't own one anymore, so I don't talk about it. From the lows to the lows, this one just interests me because I don't know. I don't love tens and stuff, but it's kind of fun to see a random book that was not just a new book of the week popped in plastic. This one probably did float around for a minute to become a weird 10.
So if anybody holds a 10 in their hands, are they breaking out the magnifying glass just to see what the hell's going on?
Yes.
No, they were just graced by the CGC gods, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I know people out there who would try and find a way to neg the 10, being like, oh, I would have never given this a 10. It's like, well, good thing you don't fucking work for CGC.
I want to circle back on this after the marker report.
Yeah, we can circle back. It's an interesting question. I showed this book, not this exact copy, but I talked about the second print the other day because there was a 9.2 that sold and saying that they're pretty rare air to find these in high grade. The second print was about $250 for a 9.2, so $330 for a 9.4. Good price. Honestly, if I would have seen this one, I probably would have bought it because that's, again, these second prints and third prints are beat to shit worse than the first prints.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if any of us got this one. I know we didn't, but I know there was a lot of people that have been looking for this book.
Mm-hmm.
I know a friend of ours on the Discord is a huge Turner fan. This is the foil Regnar edition. We
had one of these in the Forgotten 5 Days.
It is a bitch upon bitch books. It's one of those. This is what's the store? It's the Chicago one, right?
Yep. It's C2E2, I believe.
Is it C2E2 or is it the shop?
Or Graham Cracker? No, Graham Crackers. That's right.
Graham Crackers.
Yeah. So it's hard. The original doesn't have the foil on the silver, obviously, where the G.I. Joe is. And it's hard to press because it's foil, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know, pretty tough there. So,
yeah, there's guys that have been looking for this book for 5 to 10 years. So I'm hoping somebody grabbed it that we know, but I've not seen anybody claim it yet. So if you're in the chat, let us know.
Yeah, 500.
Yeah. Let's see, jumping all around.
Yeah, you're good. I tried to make them.
This was purely just me being amused. I didn't know that they did these. So they did a Star. Looks like they did the whole series. We had seen back a couple years ago. They'd done the AF-15 and Action 1.
Yeah, Action Comics #1. Yep.
AF-15. I'd not seen the Star Wars one. I mean, they're kind of just,
I
they're
think-
like
I think-
promotional
I think
silver coins. They're just in a print.
I think they did Incredible Hulk #1, 2 in one of these. I think they did Tales of Suspense. I think got one of these too. I think First Appearances got them all. I think.
I just honestly, for some reason, I like the look of this one more than others. I don't know. Could just be the Star Wars reflects a little more. But I mean, truthfully, you're paying $250 for an ounce of silver. That's $27. So I don't know. It's a collectible.
Hey man, it's because of the CGC logo, Star Wars out of date logo, man. I think old label. So.
Honestly, though, I'm not. Of the ones I've seen, this is the prettiest one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a Star Wars guy, it's kind of a cool display piece. Riri with some signs of life. End of last year, this thing was under $1,000. So especially good because they didn't even put the number of the book in the title.
Yes.
My gosh.
Did they go #2? Didn't they go to $2,000? Wasn't it higher $2,000?
Didn't what?
Wasn't it
I
higher
think like 5?
Did it?
At one point, it went a real nuts.
And I was going to talk to you about this. Everyone was shitting on Shuri, right, for Black Panther and all this stuff, and Riri was like, but it was like she said, she hasn't. We seen it with America Chavez and all this other stuff, right? America Chavez and 9H were crazy, and then they just flew off the rails. This one's kind of kept its muster, I guess.
Yeah, it hasn't kept its muster, but I think it's past its lowest point for a while. I think maybe people are buying back in a little bit after the flood. I don't know. We'll see. It just surprised me when some of them do recover, because some of them just stay in the depths for a little bit longer. It's only been 2-3 months from the bottom, so we will keep an eye on that one. This is just a cool ass book. That's all I gotta say. One of the classic Neil Adams Superman covers. Extremely tough and high grade. I was chasing it at one point before. I don't know, maybe in 2018. I was collecting some of the high grade soups. I had a bunch of the other Adams cover, the black and white one, the one with the I can't think of the number, but that's all right. Some of the other classic covers I was buying up because they were just too damn cheap, and I could not find one of these bastards above a 9.4. I don't even think I could find a 9.4. But cool to see it. Real tough freaking book. $3,500 is a very respectable price.
I can't believe there's so many people looking for that book. I mean, I understand Neil Adams cover. I just pass it up. I wouldn't even you could tell me that book's $20. Like, okay.
Just iconic. I did see a great sketch. Somebody got an art sketch, which was Shazam doing this next to Superman, and Shazam is doing the same pose, and his crack and fall, and he goes, Superman, why'd your chains pop? They just should break in one point. Physics. This is one, I think I've shown it before, but man, some of these surprising romance covers out of nowhere that just have the right vibe. Almost $400. So not saying you'll find it in a bin, but it wouldn't completely surprise me if you found it in a bin hiding somewhere in a shop owner that doesn't know what the hell he has. So keep your eye on those damn romance comics, because some of them are surprising. That's only a 5.
And it's not even graded.
No, just you can pull that out. Surprised you haven't.
I have one.
All right, good.
That's actually mine is for sale too. So,
classic. A lot of guys talking about magazines these days. There happen to be a few from the other week that I didn't get a chance to talk about. Wizard Magazine 1, McFarlane. Tough book in the high end, because we all read the shit out of them. Because we were excited like a kid on Christmas when we got the first ones of these. I remember reading the damn things every time they came out.
I mean, it's what got me back into comics as a as a kid, like I kind of like drifted away from them probably around middle school time period, right before the release of the first X-Men movie and Spider-Man, and reading Wizard and seeing their castings of these films and stuff like that is really what got me back into it around middle school, high school time period.
Yeah, I mean they're a classic. That's a. I mean, just to start with the McFarlane cover, it is an iconic book. I mean, you got that. The Nintendo Power is even more crazy. But you know, those are kind of those two books of your. They weren't anything because they were really just talking about the thing you love, but they are in your brain because they were just. They capture that moment in your childhood, you know, the first damn Nintendo Power, first Wizards, you know, your first Beckett Monthly, those things like are all in your brain. And then one more magazine, I don't see this one often, but man, a 9/8 Fangora. For those horror fans, man, you got a Godzilla cover, you got, you know, one of the big boys of the horror genre there.
Now it's a damaged case for $400. I still buy it,
dude. That's,
absolutely, yeah.
It feels cheap.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, mind you won't get that case replaced for about a year the way things are going. But
yeah,
you know, hell, that feels like a pretty cool. Just, I'll put that away for later.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. What question did we want to? Did you?
Oh, I got you. This one. Let's kind of do this too. Crazy question: how much debt are you all carrying from comics on your credit cards, or is it zero? So for me, is zero. That's pretty much right. So.
Yeah, same. If I do, like, I will use my cards to buy big books so I get the points, and then typically they're paid off before the month's out. So.
Yeah, I mean, short term is all like a month, just enough to put it on the card and pay it before it's done. I don't like betting that heavily on stuff because that puts you on a time preference, and you already then have the interest bug eating it. I mean, I let credit card rates. I don't know. Some of them are probably ridiculous now. Like
20%, 25.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to think how much interest is eating you each month. On the hope that what you bought's going up. So I mean
every $1,000 is 220, right?
It's kind of like flipping a house, man. When you've got the monthly nut coming in, you gotta be betting really right. So the chance of it getting you it just puts more pressure because those are those people who had to sell those giant size X-Men that got in at the top. You know, You can buy a giant size X-Men and think it's going to go up, but if you only got 4 months for it to do what you hope it's going to do, your chances are slimmer than if you could sit on it for 4 years.
I mean, there was a guy who was on one of the Facebook groups, and one week he was like, "Oh, do you think it's a good idea to mortgage the house to buy a higher grade X-Men 1?" Like, this is back when everybody was just like, "Nah, they're definitely making an announcement at San Diego Comic-Con 2022," and then that didn't happen. And then you saw that guy a week after that being like, "I wonder if I could return this book. It doesn't look like it's graded as highly as it was supposed to." And people started finding his previous comment history and being like, "Hey, weren't you guys talking about mortgaging your home to buy one of these a couple of months ago?" It's there are a lot of people who made very poor decisions when the market was just doing crazy things. And honestly, it's the same thing we're seeing in the housing market right now. There's people who bought in on the high and just never thought it was going to slip back down again, and are really hurting right now because they just there's a couple guys I know who I deal exclusively through Facebook with and Instagram, and they're just unwilling to sell things at a loss, and they're just sitting on inventory because they bought in at the high. They thought the gravy train was going to stay moving forever, and they just are unwilling to accept the loss.
And I think the problem. Well, I think the problem too is that I think we've all had a loss here and there. Obviously, you don't want to have a ton of losses, but
listen. I'm the king of making bad timing. Now, I usually don't lose money, but I don't make as much money as I should on them.
Well, I mean, that's just maximum profit, maximum profitization. But for me, it's I think people especially like when people come up to us at like Comic Cons and stuff. You know, it's because we have a podcast and stuff like that. But it's like people think we have gigantic collections and we have all this crazy stuff, and it's like we've never had a loss. It's like, but that's not. I mean, I'll tell anybody about losses all day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we kind of just report the market report, but I mean,
speaking of losses, I put a link in the back chat. No, there was somebody had sent me a video.
Okay.
It was actually, I think it was Chad Crow. He had sent me a video on Instagram about there was a guy who he broke down the sale of a resubmitted 9.6 Golden Age, right? Now it came back a Golden Age. I mean, it came back a 9.8, but the book got a green label.
Whoa.
And CGC missed a coupon that got clipped.
Oh God.
Yeah. And so the guy bought it for, I want to say 13 grand.
Yeah, 13 grand.
Yeah, and he wound up selling it for about 3.
Oh.
Wow.
So
that's tough. Now,
yeah.
Back to this credit card comment. One caveat.
Yep.
Paying with a credit card on an online purchase is a good decision as long as you're going to pay it off.
Correct.
Because it does give you an extra layer of protection. Because there have been times where, PayPal can't save you and somebody screwed you off. The credit card can.
I want to talk about this too because this is interesting too. Remember Otis and all these people like you can buy a 1,000th share of AF-15 and then when everybody wants to sell, you all sell at whatever
Yeah, I have not done my research on it. I mean, I know there's fractionalized cards, fractionalized art. I actually have a family friend who's involved in one of those companies. I don't remember one off the top of my head. He's more on the card side, but I understand what they're doing. But my fear is they're always purchasing at the high end, so it's got to. You got to wait a long time for to catch up because they don't care what price they buy it at. They're going to sell it fractionalized to 5,000 people anyways, but it might be interesting to follow up on.
Okay, so
if anybody made any purchases, I'd love to hear about it.
Isn't a loss just a tax write-off?
It can be. Well, if you have a business, it can be. But if you're not, like, if you don't have an LLC or you don't document your stuff, because also you don't need to have the LLC. I didn't have my LLC in place.
I do DBA. I do DBA, doing business ads. You don't have to have it. It's the same thing. I mean, it's cheaper.
Yeah. It's just how you file your taxes and how you keep your records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the LLC part gives you protection. The bigger boy books you're selling, probably the more likely you want that just for on the the scenario we were talking about is somebody buys a book and it comes back graded differently and they're
well, and it's okay to take a loss in a business sense, right? I mean, theoretically taxable wise. I mean, the problem is like when people like this guy, we'll talk about this, we'll get into this. So the guy I bought the collection from was flipping comics, and we'll talk about how well he's flipping comics. He's not doing a good job. I tried to get his I got his phone number and stuff, but I was like, I need to see where you're setting up at because I'm gonna destroy you.
Well, the other thing is though, taking a loss is sometimes you got to take the loss. Dean or Nico and I have talked about it several times. Is if you've made a bad investment, sometimes you just got to sell at the loss to get what you can out of it to make your next bet. But if you sit and die on a sword that you've already failed on, hoping it's going to rebound, that money is dead capital you can't use. So sometimes,
well, we call it depreciation, right? It's depreciation, right? Your book's going down the rabbit hole of, we won't say zero, but sliding down the scale of depreciation there. You got to get out, man. I mean, even if you take a loss, even say you bought a book for, we'll just use grandiose numbers because it's easier, $10,000, and it's sliding down. It's 8. It might go to 5. You don't know. I mean, you take 7,500. Yeah, it sucks, but it's better than losing that $5,000 or it's $3,000 or like we see it on the market report all the time, right? Look at Captain Marvel 17 second prints, right? Ungodly amount of money. Now it's back to nothing. Not nothing, but you know what I'm saying, to normalize stuff. So taking a loss isn't terrible, but taking a loss but you can use that money you get back to buy into something else that hopefully appreciates. It's just you can't take that many losses in your career at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Yeah, talk to your tax guy about how you handle inventory too. He can help you out. Yep, that's I know most of it. I know Bishop Colbert helped me out with mine. With a little spreadsheet kind of. And I do my taxes. And the thing too is like me and Chris we had collectibles insurance too. That's the other thing. Collectibles insurance and having a spreadsheet. Now me and Chris do it a different way. I think I do it more like him now, where I just do the graded books and like the bigger books that I know have value. All this crap that I get is worthless to me, but and you just got to find out what tier you want to sell at, or you have your valuation at, because there's different tiers for different.
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually go into this because I did my taxes pretty much immediately once because I knew that I was probably going to take a little bit of a hit this year because of sales on eBay and things like that. But yeah, talking to my tax person, incorporating this year. But even before incorporating as an LLC, I still kept immaculate records of everything, every expenditure, every meal I bought when I was at a con, everything. And ultimately, thanks to, some big purchases this year, I was operating at a slight deficit. And so it honestly helped me out because of the fact that like my regular job pays pretty well. And I didn't get taxed the way I was supposed to, even though I told them to take whatever they were supposed to take out. And if it wasn't for the little bit of a loss on the business side, I would have owed the feds quite a bit of money.
Well, and the thing too is another good trick or tip is so I opened a separate bank account that's different from my personal account. Yes. So all the comic expenditures go to that. So I'm not shifting through at the end of the year for my tax guy, like, oh shit, it's this one, or was this eBay purchase for this, or did I buy something for, so I just opened a separate like Capital One bank account, like online Capital One, who cares? And I just got a credit card or debit card or whatever, and just use all that for everything. So it's all clean and simple. And I'm like, I might, mix it a little bit, but I know, I have my little spreadsheet and I say, my personal account or my Capital One account, and I just kind of, my tax person loves it. So
yeah.
So that kind of helps out people. So 90 days, most stable. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Wednesday Warrioring it back in the day was like when me and John, in the G Plus era, man, it was like, and Chris knows about it. It's like Wednesday Warrioring was like you were making a ton of money. Wednesday Warrioring nowadays, I don't know. If you don't
have a connection, and there's no point.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say.
Oh no. Yeah, go ahead.
Back in the G Plus days, man. Like also too, like we had at certain points of the year, like if you weren't in con season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we're back to it now finally, but like there was a point when you were seeing 1 week turnaround times at a CGC. So you could legitimately like Wednesday Warrior, buy one or two, grade one, and like basically recoup your damages off of selling like the 2 or 3 that you were able to drive around the local LCSs and pick up that Wednesday morning and send one off to CGC, get a 9.8 on that bad boy. And now you've got a 9.8 and you've already sold, 2 or 3 copies near mint raw. It's a different beast now. Like I just think, like the market just isn't necessarily responding to the hot book of the week like they used to. I mean, it really used to be that you could wake up in the morning, hop on CBSI, look at the Wednesday hot book, before your LCS open, get there about 9 in the morning, 10 o'clock, pick off the the good books, drive to another LCS, pick off the other good ones. Them days seem to kind of be gone now. Like, nobody's paying, $100 up the gate for the new hot book of the Wednesday as much anymore.
And I think the home run variants, like, back in the day, like I thought for me, you would have like 1 or 2 a month, maybe, of like home runs. Like, you buy a book for like, even if it's a variant, right? We'll say $100, right? And that's a $500 or $600 book by the end of the week. Nowadays, I think there's like 1 a quarter, right? One that you can buy for like $80, it's going to sell for $300 or more. I mean, we're talking like massive gains, not like, like I'm going to make $10 off this damn comic or something.
It was also before there were all the retailer exclusives who were getting copies of the variant and I mean, there's too much oversaturation now, so it doesn't. just not there.
Well, also I think we don't currently have like a couple of like the hot artists anymore. Because let's be real about it, like there was a point, especially like between 2017 to I'd say about 2022, where there was a new hot artist coming out every like 3 months. It was like, Jenny Friesen, like, if she's doing a cover, money. Peach Momoko, if she's doing a cover, money. Rose Besh, if she's doing a cover, money. And like that seems that like all of those new hot artists have kind of mellowed out, and nobody new has kind of risen to the surface since then.
I mean, for me, it was well in G Plus era, right? It was Campbell, Hughes. I mean, we go down the list. There was Del Otto. There was only three or four, and it was like those were your artists, at least in the modern era. You know, it was like, when he's dropping a book now, Campbell did his own thing and released his own kind of exclusive and stuff. But Hughes and it was Campbell, Hughes, and Del Otto, and like a couple others, and that was like, if they were doing comics, you were buying as many variants as they could find. 1 in 25s, 1 in 50s, 1 in 100s, whatever whatever the ratio was.
Yeah, but all the new hot artists all of a sudden then do a deal with a store exclusive, and then they've got 10 covers in 10 weeks, and they're not that rare.
I mean, yeah, that did unfortunately kind of fuck the game up a little bit. It's when the people who have their stores and stuff started approaching these artists and being like, oh, do an exclusive cover for me. And like, it's like, so what would have been a ratio awesome cover is now a store variant, and nobody gives a shit about store variants anymore. Like, I think that's really what hurt the game. It's like when that, that Rose Besh or that Peach Momoko was a 1 in 10, a 1 in 15, a 1 in 25. The call's got some good stuff. Yeah, but like, it used to be that like, maybe there'd be a handful of store variants, but like those artists were getting pilfered for all the ratio variants, so it made it even more of a whole. Case in point. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's overexposure, right? I mean, so basically, like Momoka, right? She came out, it was great, something different, right? Her style, something not saying we haven't seen, but it's like, and then all of a sudden she's on every store variant cover, she's getting locked up for 50 covers, she's doing 25 deadlines, and it's like people don't realize too, like now the digital age you can crank them out a little bit quicker than manual, but it's like for me it's like, man, it's just like you got one artist who's doing 50 covers a month or something, or 25 covers a month, and you got one every 2 days or something. It's just quality going to go down. And right there, here's another one, Clayton Crane, right? Good guy, right? I mean, we talked to him before he blew up kind of at Charlotte. And, now he's got a cover every week. He's got multiple people, which is crazy, stuff we do. So, but no, go ahead, Chris. You were onto it. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of where I was going with that, but, yeah, I mean, just like the market has changed, the saturation, maybe we'll see a return to fame, but yeah, I think honestly we just need we need less of store variants. Absolutely, that needs to die down. We need ratios that correspond to actual meaningful events happening in books again, because that was another thing too. Oh, that's why I was going with that. It's like look at a book like ASM 800, the 1 in 100, had that amazing Del Otto cover, and it coincided with con season, and it was just like, yeah, there was a couple of Del Otto store variants of his own store and things like that, but again, it was like he maybe had like 3 covers tops that he did, but one of those was a monster of like a 1 in 100 or a 1 in 500 ratio variant, and so it just doesn't matter as much anymore. Like, it's like, oh, here's a 1 in 100 on issue 2 of Daredevil, the Woman Without Fear. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like, why does the book 2 matter? Like, why is that now? Like, the number 1 made sense. A character appearance makes sense. Why are you doing this such a dumb ratio on like issue number 2? So I don't know.
Cool. What do we got? Anybody got pickups besides me? Because I'm going to take forever. Anybody else got pickups?
I'm trying to see what you got, man.
Okay, okay.
I got some stuff. I mean,
okay, yeah, I got you. Let's go, Z. Let's go Z first.
So, I don't know. 2 weeks ago, I showed my video game art. I happened to pick up a sealed box of.
Oh boy!
So
You're creeping down a rabbit hole. First,
I'm not grading it. I'm just keeping it with it. I was like, I gotta have it. Just
okay. So what'd you spend for it? We got to talk about this.
The box here?
Yeah,
$80.
No, that's not terrible.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm like, nobody's chasing it. I don't care.
Good.
I just needed it to go with the thing because they'd sent me a box, like a folded box, but I'm like, well, let me just see if I can find one.
Maybe you.
And I did.
Man.
So happy with that. And then my boy Trey sent me this book because he knew I was hugely a fan of it when it came up for discussion.
Yep.
And so he sent it to me, and I very much appreciate it. So check them out on the OTR podcast and give them a follow. And if you're in the Discord, then you know where it came from. So, gracias.
I guess I'll go next.
I got you.
So, slightly repetitive, but I get in these habits of being like, haven't heard anything about this thing in a while. So went out there and bought a couple of Black Hammer 1.
Is that thing still making something in the background?
Yeah, I mean, it's again like the second I bought these, Jeff Lemire put out an announcement of what was that, Royal City or some other book of his just got optioned, like another Jeff Lemire book got options. So I was like, yeah, Black Hammer has already been optioned. It's just a matter of getting this fair shake. So 2 of the regular covers and then the San Diego Comic-Con variant.
Nice.
I typically have a bad habit of doing that, where it's like 2 regulars and then one of the like special ones. And so same thing here, Century 1.
Hey, go for it.
All black everything.
Another Century 1, and then of course, like I said, a special one always to round out. So
yeah, that special one's ugly though.
Yeah, but it is impossible to find.
I love that one though.
You love the variant?
Yeah, just because it's something different and funky.
That's it for me.
Okay.
All right.
I got something real quick.
I got you. I want to.
Okay. I bought this. I splurged and bought a 9.8.
Wait, is that a Zenoscope?
Yeah, I bought
we've lost Carter.
I bought a Smut Peddlers book. So we've got Grim Fairy Tales Presents Goddess Inc. #1. I forget the artist, but it's a Marilyn Monroe cover. I like it. I came across a raw copy a couple months ago at that sale.
That's tastefully done though.
For Zenoscope, that is like it's like Disney.
Yeah, right. So I figured,
I'm sure there's a booby variant.
Yeah, when I think I talked about this book, and then all the copies kind of dried up, and there was a 9.8 left, and I'm like, all right, let's pick this up.
All right.
So yeah,
I understand. Okay. We'll only judge you like 50% harsh for the Zenoscope.
Okay, so I will say, I met this guy. I did a Facebook Marketplace. I won't hide it. Around my area, I just type in like comic book collection or comic books or whatever. He was selling 2 short boxes for like $300, right? So 186 comics. Now they weren't full boxes. I wasn't bitching about it. $300. We'll get to the last one. Be last. I'll kind of screw through these because a lot of stuff. This is the first time I'm actually looking through the books because I didn't have power last week. I had the power week before. I kind of bought them and just hung on them. So he had a bunch of Star Trek stuff, but Gold Key stuff, whatever. I'll send this all to Paul because he's the biggest Star Trek fan on the planet. Just regular bullshit, Superman stuff that no one cares about, right? Just a lot of Superman shit that nobody cares about, stuff like that. Iron Man, I guess. I don't know.
Shiny covers.
Yeah, just a lot of shiny covers, a lot of old shit. Superman, Wonder Woman stuff. That's kind of the first pile. So I'm like not really feeling it at the end of the day. Iron Man stuff,
Not looking like a good deal so far.
Yeah. Some X-Men stuff, but it's all, newer stuff. Nothing crazy. not looking great. I'm like losing my mind. Some X-Men stuff, some fodder, no keys. He says he flips books. I'm like, I don't know, tech stuff that really doesn't matter.
You got the stuff that he couldn't do anything with. It feels
Yeah,
like.
when he has $3 on the back, he priced all these somehow. I don't know. Betray, Batman, Robin stuff. Just stuff that nobody cares about. Real quick. More Batman stuff. Today when you see one of these in there.
Not even the black one.
I know. Not good. The Batgirl stuff.
Did you buy these without power on?
Pretty much. I don't even know what half this stuff is. Archie comics that no one cares about.
It's not looking good, Dino.
It's not looking great at all. I'm like, what did I do to myself? What's over here? I don't even know what's over here. Kind of newer stuff here. Suicide Squad, Wolverine stuff that nobody cares about. Yeah, this is like the saddest Facebook Marketplace thing I've ever seen in my life.
That Demon Knights wasn't too bad.
I'm hoping you're going to win here.
I'm not. It's okay. You can talk about L's. This is an L. So, yeah, I got robbed. This is terrible.
Terrible purchase. This is a false problem purchase.
So it ended up because I only wanted one book. So he had a listing, and so I see a lot of people. I know Stein's doing some stuff. I see people talking about what they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I bought this book when it was nothing. But what are you doing now since everybody has eBay and comic book market is crazy? This is the one. Look at this.
All right.
So it says $10, but I probably got it for $2, right? If I bought the whole thing. So Pacelli variant, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man #1, 1 in 25, I think. 1 in 30. So right now this is going for. Look, he put $8 on this thing. I tried to just buy this comic, right? He's like, somebody's trying to buy it all, and I'm like, so I was like, screw it. Now I'll just buy it for $300. I don't even care. So this is going for, call it $675 to $500 on eBay.
Okay.
So I thought, for that, it's worth it. No.
You should have just said, I'll give you $200 for that and move on.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. I'll take the rest of it and burn it. I don't even care.
Is it going in the fireplace?
Burn.
I got the fire pit outside. I'll fucking I'll put it on Instagram or something.
Can you get yourself a comic powered generator for the next outing?
I should, right?
You got some shit hits the fan books right there.
Yeah. Okay, I can use his insulation in the house. For me, it's not 9.8able. It's not 9.8. It's still I caught maybe 9.092. But
at least you got something out of it, man. But that was a rough one.
Yeah, that was rough.
You got to think in a box of about 200 books, you're going to get one other, win. But
there's nothing else, and it's all Star Trek in the other box. I didn't want to fucking bore you with the Star Trek stuff.
Send it to Paul.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'm just gonna next time I see Paul, I'm like, hey, I got a box for you, bud. So, but no, so let's talk about L's and stuff. Not yet, but so Mr. Colbert has helped me out with another CGC submission, so I'll have that coming back. But with Carter's Haul, that when I went to see Carter, I got another probably 25, 30 books to send to CGC. Like, remember we talked about Transformers 1 that I bought, and all those Secret War 8s, and all the Ultimate, the X Factors. So it's just, I don't know. I'm in that boat where I sold some stuff on eBay. Somebody offered me like $250 for one of my Amazing Spider-Man annual ones, like 0.5. It used to be, let's talk about that, L. I bought them for real cheap, like extremely, extremely cheap. And I bought it at that Harper show, Carter. But there used to be $1,000 9.8 and a 0.5 or $1,000 0.5, and now it's $300. So.
Well, again, it's not a loss; it's just a less of a win.
Yeah, and for me, I pulled the Z, right. I should have just graded them when they were going for 1,000. I was like, oh wait, and I just waited myself out too long. But for me, it's like I should have just somebody offered me $250 for one that has like missing 6 pages. I should have took it. I backed them back at $275. I'm like, well, come on, like give me something at least, make it worth my troubles. But so that's the only thing I have.
I'm still trying to figure out how that guy that you bought the collection from, like, had all that dreck but kept one
book. So So here goes. So I talked to the guy. I go, hey man, like, do you have any other stuff? He's like, no, this is all I got. I'm like, okay. But in the same breath, he goes, I'm gonna try to flip comics. I'm like, well, you're not doing so well when you give me this book for like $8. So he says he's gonna set up at shows. I'm like, yo, what show are you setting up at? Because I'm gonna come down and make it happen.
Maybe he was just trying to get 300 and get some shit out of his house, you know?
Yeah, that's fine too. And my wife was like, "What the fuck are you gonna do with the rest of this shit?" And I said, fuck, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I just put a PGX book on my watch list.
What's that, Chris?
I said, if you got a second in Charles or a half price books, man, like.
Yeah, I do. I do have one up in the corner. Just fucking drop it off. I'm like, here you go, dude. Just let me
the other thing, you could just relist it on Marketplace for.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just bulk them out at $30-$40 a box, and people fucking come and take them gladly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's market rate. I mean, that's not bad at all. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I have sometimes just listed shit. If I want to sell it fast, I put it, bulk shit out and put it a few bucks cheaper than people think quickly, and I can sell it in a day and move on. Get shit out of my house.
Yeah, I'm.
You don't have to strike a list. You just got to cut enough out of it that you feel better about your one book.
Yeah, look at how to show. I see that's the other problem. Like I try to set up at shows. Like the problem is like I don't have the massive inventory that most people have. I have like I count them.
Like I literally will just as
like
I
12
get
short boxes.
If I get full, I just start taking the biggest crap. I put them all in one box and go. Here's the price to take a box. Go. These boxes are for sale.
I mean, it's the other thing. I got some money in a separate account just laying around. I'm like, I got to pay this computer off eventually, but I don't have to do it all right away. And I'm thinking like, what do I do? Do I buy another collection? Do I figure it out? Because I know what's going to happen, right, guys? The Murphy Law is right. I'm going to pay off this computer for X amount of dollars, and then tomorrow it'll be like, oh, look at this Facebook Marketplace listing, and it's going to be the craziest books you ever see for that amount of money, and it's like, oh, I wish I didn't.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with buying a collection for one or two books. Just you chunk out the rest and get rid of it and free up the profits again quickly.
Yeah.
Sitting on that's going to get you nowhere. So if you get 30, 40, 50, $100, call it a day.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just list it for $100 and say, here you go, dude. And like you said, at least I'm not out that much.
Yeah, it just frees up more capital quick.
Well,
versus trying to pull them up and do nothing.
Yeah, like for me, oh boy, he's going to show a few books in a picture, but deep in the background of the photo, put one book flipper. He didn't notice what else he got. That's funny.
Well, that's the other thing you could do is just put a $20 book in the box, and somebody's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and for me too, it's like I don't care. I got 2 free short boxes out of it. That's probably a better deal. But
that's cardboard for a minute. That is not a bad deal.
Yeah, whatever. But for me too, it's like sometimes you got to take the gamble. Like you said, I mean, whatever. I mean, I think for $100, for $200 or $300, it was worth it.
Yeah. I
don't know. Some of the books like that Star Trek Gold Key is like $20 if I really wanted to put it up. Who cares? Whatnot and Hype Them Grails. Yeah, oh boy. I'm not that dude. I'm not trying to be that guy. But,
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, man, I just I'm going to Motor. It's funny. Motor City Comic Con's in 2 months too. I don't want to be that guy walking around with short boxes like an a-hole, but I can always.
You'll probably get less there than you will on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just
dealers are going to buy them at half to a third of what Yahoo's on Marketplace will pay.
And that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to hold. I've been thinking about this. I'm going to just do the monthlies on the computer because I got Motor City Comic Con coming up in May, so I just have some money just laying around. Just if I see something, it's not like maybe, but over there it's pretty atrocious. We'll call it for the. I won't talk about vendors, but it's pretty atrocious with the old price gouging in Motor City. Let's just put it that way.
All of them are that way, man.
Yeah,
they're all still real rough. The dealers have not reset expectations.
Hey, like other YouTube channels, maybe I'll do a mystery box.
You've already shown the mystery.
Well, hey, we don't have that many subscribers and viewers anymore, so some people might like it.
All right.
So that's all I got. I don't know. I mean, how my collection changes from day to day, man. And that's the other thing. What I talk about is like long term changing in your collection goals. Like all this shit on the wall doesn't mean stuff. Like you said, things, you know, you talk to people like George, he just wants to sit there and tells me to sell everything because he's getting out of stuff. So
Well, it's all right to change, man. I've bought fucking back into buying art again. I didn't buy art for 2 years
wife's,
now. I'm buying it away.
My wife's Scotty Young collection could be worth more than the rest of my shit on my wall right now. You know,
It happens, man.
but that's all I got. Comic Shop Talk might come back on Wednesday. We'll see if he does the video or not.
I want to know why he chose Hakes. That's what I want to know.
Do a video about that. I'm joking.
Yeah, my man.
Tape heads. Matt Roybal might come back to the show. He didn't get back to me over the weekend, and I'm sure he's.
You're trying to set up a guest.
Yes.
So if it happens, we may have a guest. So.
And I offered him maybe he can come on Mondays too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So.
So that's all I got. We'll talk about afterwards about a situation about our famous person. We'll talk about that.
All right, man.
We'll catch everybody later. We appreciate it as usual, and we are going to be out. Thanks, guys.